Hi guys, it's Olga Heldman, and today I have for you a cute card with AALL CREATE, and the card is full of mistakes. I started filming on some stage, so basically what do you miss? A lot of masking. I stamp off my images first on the copy paper and then I covered them with Tombow mono adhesive. And that created masks, and I used those masks to cover my images to have a nice scene with the sloth, with the sleepy sloth chilling on the branch. So the sloth was the first image, and then I stamped some branches on the top to create jungle-like landscape in the background. And actually when I was stamping my sloth, I used my stamping platform, and I will have two panels, and the part with the sloth and the group of branches that it's around him is exactly the same on both cards, because we will cut out the opening on the front. So I wanted the background at the second panel to perfectly match, so I can easily line up my images. And we are starting coloring, and I started with watercolors, and that will be the mixed techniques coloring. We will use watercolors and crayons, and I will talk a little bit more about it later on, because I did a mistake at the beginning as well. The second panel is the panel that can hold some greetings inside of your card, so I didn't color it all, I just colored around my stamped area. My first initial layer was a soft wash with light blue shade, and then I painted all trunks brown and all leaf areas with nice green. And I use a paper towel, and I blot off the excess of the paint to not have any puddles on my card, to not get any bleeding. I'm working on hot press watercolor paper, and actually that was the first mistake that I did. I should go for a little bit different paper, because it wasn't perfect for coloring with crayons or pencils. It was perfect for watercolor, because it's my favorite watercolor paper, and it will work with watercolor markers that I was planning to use. But then I realized that I don't have enough colors to pull off full image. My collection is still growing, so I decided to switch for 30 knots in Daniel Smith watercolors that you can see on my left hand side. And I don't use the colors directly from the pen. I like to mix them a little bit to have different shades, and I should have mixed a little bit better my brown, because as you will see in 1 minute, they will kind of merge with the colors that I pick for my sloth. I'm trying to color both panels as similar as I can, to have the seamless transition between the front panel and the back panel when I will cut out my opening. And I like to add a little bit of versatility, oh my god, that's hard word, to my leaves. So I'm using a little bit yellowish green, olive green, and darker green, just to create some dimension and build up the interest in those areas. Okay, so we go with my first attempt to color in the sloth. All my sloths should be colored the same, and I started quite good with soft cream color all over my sloth. And when I switch for the for this nice taupey brown, I realized that it's not the best paper, because you know, from masking, I lift up a little bit of the watercolor paper. I used a low tack tape, a sensitive tape, but it still damaged my paper quite a bit, and you cannot see it when I use my watercolors because it's like micro damage, but when I start to go with my pencils, they increase all those little bits and pieces. So I decided to go a little bit darker with my sloth. When I was in the coloring phase and I was going darker and darker and more brown, I didn't realize how close the shade of fur is to the shade of the tree trunk. So actually from up close, because when I'm coloring, I'm really close to the image, you could see that it's a character laying on the branch, but when finally I finished all my coloring and I look at my image from the distance, you couldn't say that it's a chilling sloth on the branch. So I started to bring a little bit more character to the trunk. I add some shading. I decided to darken up the branches because I thought that it will bring more contrast. I even went with the shade to put a drop shadow around my sloth, but unfortunately he was still kind of blending in. So I decided to do a small trick. Here I have my 3 happy chili sloths stamped on the piece of cardstock, and I'm starting again. I put a layer of soft cream, and then I added a little bit of brown shading, but only on the tips of his arms and legs I googled some sloth images and I was trying to color them like the sloths actually look like. They have quite fair fur, and oh my god, my pronunciations suck. So the fur is quite light cream shade, but around the arms and legs they have some grayish brownish dark marking, and that's how I colored in my sloth. And all the branches are watercolored because it's the same cardstock, but I think that now he's standing out much more. I fussy cut my sloth inside the outline, and then I covered the edge with the black marker that helped me to blend my new character on top of the image that I have already done, because I use those complicated masking and stamping. It was really hard to recreate the image exactly like it was, so it was much easier just to add a happy little sloth on top. 2 other guys that will be our focal points as well. I mean, there is a lot of focal points and it's quite basic card, but I really like the final outcome, and I'm happy that it achieved what I planned in my head. So I cut them out with the die. It's super fast, and it's much faster than fuzzy cutting. I like fuzzy cut look when you cut just against the line, but I have to admit that dies are much convenient, and you can do tricks like this one with die cuts as well. I placed the die cut for this one on the front of my front panel, and I stick it to my base to make sure that I will also cut out through the top layer of my base. That means I type it down to make sure that everything is placed correctly, and then I run it a few times through my die cutting machine while card was open, to not cut through both layers of my card, just through the top layer, and you can see that we have nice opening. And then I just have to stick my panel. It's quite easy to line it up because you have those die cut lines and everything just nicely pop. So when everything was nicely lined up, I made sure to trim the edges because I like my card to be perfectly centered with a nice stroke around. And then I lined up the inside panel and stick it on the place. I had to work quite fast because my glue is fast drying. I made sure looking through the opening that all the lines lined up nicely, and I have my happy little sloth chilling on the branch on the back panel, but you can see him through the front panel. I added two sentiments. One is outside and second one is inside. I really like the sentiments in this set. I designed it while being in Australia. That's why my sloths are mates. The front says "What's up, mate?" and inside is my absolutely favorite sentiment with those sleepy sloths. You are my favorite to hang out with. So to make the sentiment truthful, I added two other sloths, so all three sloths can hang out together in the jungle, and I put them on the distance foam. One is on double foams, one is on single foam layer, so we have a lot of dimension in this card. I love to create those 3D cards. I added some stroke around it, and off the camera I added a few nougat drops, and yeah, that's my card. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed this video and that the tip with replacing your characters would be useful. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up, and yeah, see you in the next one. Bye. Have a nice and creative day with AALL CREATE.